Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys I'm going to talk about a topic that I guess you could say to some extent I mentioned and forementioned, I guess you could say, in one of my previous videos. You may have always seen that, or this video is coming after that, and that is pretty much, is there just one way to build a single deck? Now in my last video I pretty much talked about how different players have different playing styles perhaps, and I put that idea forth to you, and if you haven't seen that video, I'd love to hear your feedback on that. But in today's video, we're going to talk about another tangent of that topic, I guess you could say. And that is there just one single way to build a deck in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh? Is there just one way and no other way? Now, a lot of people out there I watch, from looking at deck profiles, researching decks, doing different things, I try to find the most optimal build that works for me. Moi, Seto Kaiba, Kevin, whatever you want to call me. And I find, through research and everything, you come across some comments that people say, no, you shouldn't play this deck like this because ... you should play this card, you should play that card because ... So that's what got me originally thinking about this topic. Is there just one way to build a deck? Personally, I'm going to say right off the bat to you guys, no. I believe that there's multiple ways you can build a deck and still have success with that deck. There's no one magical formula to build a single deck. There's different ways you can build a deck and still have success with that deck. I feel that, yes, however, that there are key components to that deck, certain ratios of a deck that you would definitely want to play in that deck because it helps, it's the heart and soul of the deck. It's the skeleton, it's the bones, it's the muscle of the deck. It makes the deck what it is. What do I mean by that? Well, I'll just use Gravekeepers as an example right here, and Six Samurais as well, because they're my two favorite decks. For Gravekeepers, you're going to run your 3 Necro Valley, you're going to run your 3 Spy, you're going to run your Commandants, you're going to run your Recruiters, your Descendants, your Assailant, your basic lineup. You may run different ratios, but you're definitely going to run these cards because it makes the deck what it is. It brings the deck together. Six Samurais, you're going to run your Rhoda, you're going to run your 3 Smoke Signal, you're going to run some amount of Shians, you're going to run your 3 Kizan. It's staple. It's a fact that running 3 of these cards is the proper ratio, no less. Granted, there was a time when people thought running 2 Grandmaster or 3 Grandmaster was better, but that's beside the point what I'm talking about here. I'm just saying, through testing, from watching other players play the deck, and from them testing and you testing, you find that those are the proper ratios. So I'm taking that aside, I'm talking about everything else in the deck. Those little tech-ins that you put into your deck to make the deck more fit more of your playing style. For me, for example, I like freaking playing my freaking traps. I love traps. What can I say? I'm a trap-heavy player. I love playing trap-heavy decks. I love control-esque decks, and I like traps because they can help slow down my opponent. They can help their pushes that they try to make. It can help me in a pinch in certain situations. It can stop them from going off. It can cause me to gain a slight advantage over my opponent. That one extra turn I needed to win, I got that because I played that trap at the perfect exact moment. So that's one of the reasons, for me, my playing style. I like playing more traps in my different builds. I like playing cards that are reactive, for some example. Cards that pretty much, they can help me out in certain situations. That's how I like building my decks. Somebody else, for example, on the other hand, may want to say, hey, I want to play my upstarts, I want to play my power dualities, I want to play some draw power and some search power because I like speed in my deck. I like going fast. But, excuse me guys, I need to pick something up I dropped. But yes, that's what I'm trying to say here. Different people want to play the decks a little bit differently. Some people may say, hey, you know what? I like playing this deck with these certain techs because the meta is like this. So I want to make this deck more meta-based. So I'm not going to play so much traps, or I'm not going to build the deck for speed. I'm just going to build the most optimal build to beat the meta. And that's perfectly fine. But look what I said with that. There's different ways you can build a single solitary deck. But they're all pretty good builds, pretty much at the end of the day. Yeah, maybe one build is a little bit slightly better than the other, but at the end of the day, they all can have success. There's no reason they can't. But it all depends upon the player and how they pilot that certain deck. So that's what I'm trying to talk about here. There's no one single way to build a deck. Each player is a different player in his own right, and each player can build that deck to how it fits their playing style. And they can each have success. It just depends. And granted, money's a big thing when you throw this into the thing. I mean, most optimal players would like to play their Solemn Scoldings, their Infinities, their Reflesias, expensive cards, but they can't because they're expensive. So they have to build a deck maybe a little bit differently than somebody else because they don't have the money, and that's Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, I was in that same boat years ago, and I understand that. Even today, back when Exciton Knight first came out, I wasn't able to play Exciton Knight because I wasn't going to pay that money, or Drago Sack for that matter. But now I have a job, well, that's beside the point here. Back on topic a little bit, guys, as I end this video and wrap it up. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic, guys. What do you think? Do you think that there's not just one way to build a deck? And like I've put before you, as I show you, people like maybe drawing more in their decks. People like maybe special summoning. People may want to play the deck more to fit them, play against the meta, be it more of a meta-esque deck. People may even want to play the deck more as a fun build and a wonky build, maybe more of an OTK style of a deck than what the deck is used to. They may want to try to OTK with Gravekeepers somehow, put more monsters on the field. They may want to even make it a more XYZ oriented deck, which, believe me, is a thing Gravekeepers can do. But what I'm trying to say here is there's not just one way to build a deck. There may be a slight better version than everything else, but if the player likes playing that deck and has success, and the other player has success, is there really a bad differentiation? And I think, like I said earlier, there's certain ratios of a card you play in a deck, but I feel that it's those little texts that make each little deck a little bit different than somebody else's. And, coming off what I said in my other video before, it pretty much depends on the player. If that tech works for that player, it works for that player. If it doesn't for you, it doesn't work for you. Or if they want to play that deck a little bit differently. If they all have success, what's the problem? So that's why I just want to ask you guys and hear your opinions and your thoughts and your feedbacks on this video. What do you think? Do you think there's just one solitary way to build a deck, or do you think there's multiple ways to build a deck? Good examples, I guess I could show you guys is, especially more creative decks. As I end this video here, guys, I keep saying I'm going to end this video and then I keep talking because there's a lot to talk about. I apologize, but pretty much let's take a quick example here of a non-archetype based deck. Let's look at Heraldics. Excuse me, not Heraldics. Herald of Perfection. This is a deck that it revolves around fairies, yes. But there's different ways you could build the deck. You could build it with agents, you could build it with Star Seraphs, you could build it with some other type of variation, you could build it with Happy Lovers, I mean, whatever fits your boat, man. And they're all good builds. No one build I think is better than the other. They all have their upsides and their downsides, granted. But that's just my thought, guys. I'd love to hear your comments down below. And like I said, I do feel that there may be that one deck that's a little bit better than all the others. But I feel like at the end of the day, there's no one way to build a deck. Blue Eyes White Dragon is a perfect example of this right now. There's no one way to build a Blue Eyes White Dragon deck, even with the new support. Everybody's deck list that I've seen and looked at plays the deck a little bit differently than everybody else. And they approach the deck differently than everybody else because they may want to play it more catering to Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, etc., etc., etc. But yeah, that's just my thoughts, guys. I'd love to hear your feedback. Do you think there's different ways to build a single deck or single archetype or idea? But till next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling, and I'm finally going to end this video now, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everybody.